Andy Sachs is a young woman who just finished college. She wants to be a writer. She lives in New York City with her boyfriend, Nate. Nate is a cook who works in a restaurant. Andy looks for a job at newspapers and magazines. She wants to write serious stories about important things happening in the world. One day, Andy goes to a job interview at Runway magazine. Runway is a very famous fashion magazine. All the women who work there are beautiful and wear expensive clothes. Andy does not know much about fashion. She wears simple clothes and does not care about expensive brands. She thinks fashion is not important. The job is to be an assistant to Miranda Priestley. Miranda is the editor of Runway magazine. She is the most powerful woman in the fashion world. Everyone is afraid of her. She is very difficult to work with. Many assistants quit their jobs because they cannot handle working for Miranda. Andy meets Miranda for the first time. Miranda is a thin woman with white hair. She speaks very quietly, but everyone listens to her. She looks at Andy's simple clothes and seems disappointed. Miranda tells Andy that millions of girls would love to have this job. Andy says she is not like those girls. Miranda hires Andy anyway. Andy starts working at Runway. Her job is very difficult. She must do everything Miranda asks. Miranda never says please or thank you. She gives Andy impossible tasks. Andy must get coffee from a special place that is very far away. She must find clothes that do not exist in stores. She must cancel Miranda's meetings at the last minute. Miranda speaks so quietly that Andy can barely hear her. The other people at Runway are not friendly to Andy. They think she does not belong there because she does not care about fashion. Emily is the other assistant. She has worked for Miranda for 2 years. Emily wants to go to Paris Fashion Week with Miranda. This is her dream. Emily teaches Andy how to do the job. She tells Andy that Miranda can destroy her career if she makes her angry. Andy's life becomes very stressful. She works from early morning until late at night. Miranda calls her at home with new demands. Andy must be available 24 hours a day. She cannot have dinner with her friends. She cannot spend time with her boyfriend, Nate. Her old friends think she is changing. They say she cares too much about her job and not enough about them. Andy meets Nigel at work. Nigel is the art director at Runway. He is kind to Andy and helps her. Nigel explains that fashion is important. He says that fashion affects everyone's life. Even Andy's simple blue sweater was chosen by fashion designers years ago. Nigel helps Andy understand that working at Runway is a great opportunity. He tells her that if she works hard, she can get any job she wants later. Andy decides to try harder at her job. She starts to care about fashion. She gets new clothes and changes her appearance. She becomes more beautiful and confident. She learns about designers and fashion trends. She starts to do her job better. Miranda notices the change and begins to trust Andy with more important tasks. Andy's relationship with her boyfriend Nate becomes worse. Nate thinks Andy is becoming a different person. He misses the old Andy who did not care about expensive things. Andy misses Nate's birthday dinner because she has to work. Nate is very angry. He thinks Andy cares more about her job than about him. Andy also loses touch with her best friends. Her friend Lily is having problems with drinking and men. Andy is too busy to help her. When Andy finally sees Lily, they have a big fight. Lily says Andy has become selfish and mean. She says Andy only cares about herself now. At work, Andy becomes very good at her job. She can predict what Miranda wants before Miranda asks. She solves problems quickly. She learns how to talk to fashion designers and photographers. Miranda starts to rely on Andy more and more. Other people at Runway begin to respect Andy. Andy meets Christian Thompson at a party. Christian is a handsome writer who works for another magazine. He is interested in Andy. He tells her she is beautiful and smart. Andy enjoys talking to Christian because he treats her like an intelligent person. Christian asks Andy to go to an art show with him. Andy knows she should not go because she has a boyfriend, but she goes anyway. At the art show, Andy and Christian talk about books and writing. Andy remembers that she wanted to be a writer. Christian tells her about job opportunities at his magazine. He says he can help her get a job there. Andy is attracted to Christian, but she feels guilty about her boyfriend. Miranda announces that she will take Andy to Paris Fashion Week instead of Emily. Emily is devastated. She has been planning this trip for months. She bought new clothes and learned French phrases. Emily gets sick from stress and anger. She gets hit by a car while she is upset and breaks her leg. Andy feels terrible about taking Emily's dream away from her. Andy goes to Paris with Miranda. Paris is beautiful and exciting. Andy stays in a luxury hotel and goes to amazing fashion shows. She meets famous designers and models. She wears beautiful clothes and feels like she is living in a dream. Christian is also in Paris and they spend time together. Andy starts to fall in love with Christian. In Paris, Andy learns something shocking about Miranda. Miranda's husband wants to divorce her. Miranda is afraid she will lose her job at Runway. The owners of the magazine want to fire her and hire someone younger. Miranda is not as powerful as everyone thinks. She is actually vulnerable and scared. Andy starts to feel sorry for Miranda. She sees that Miranda works very hard and sacrifices everything for her job. Miranda has no real friends. Her daughters barely know her because she is always working. Andy realizes that Miranda is lonely and sad, even though she has power and money. At a big fashion show in Paris, something terrible happens. Miranda's boss tells her that the magazine owners want to fire her. They want to replace her with Jacqueline Follet, who works at a French magazine. Miranda is shocked and angry. She worked her whole life to build Runway magazine. Miranda asks Andy to help her. She needs Andy to find information about Jacqueline Follet. Andy works all night to help Miranda. She feels like she and Miranda are finally working together as a team. Andy thinks that Miranda trusts her and considers her a friend. But Miranda surprises everyone. At the fashion show, she announces that she is firing Nigel. Nigel was supposed to get a promotion to work with Jacqueline Follet. Instead, Miranda gives that job to someone else. She makes a deal to save her own job by sacrificing Nigel. Andy is shocked. She thought Miranda cared about Nigel. He was loyal to her for many years. Andy realizes that Miranda will do anything to keep her power. She does not care about other people's feelings. She used Andy to get information, and then she betrayed Nigel. Andy sees that Miranda is not just demanding, she is cruel and selfish. Andy understands that if she continues to work for Miranda, she will become like her. After the fashion show, Andy and Miranda ride in a car together. Andy tells Miranda that she cannot work for her anymore. She says she does not want to become the kind of person who hurts others to get ahead. Miranda is not surprised. She tells Andy that she sees a lot of herself in Andy. Miranda says that Andy made choices that hurt her friends and boyfriend, just like Miranda did. Andy realizes that Miranda is right. She did choose her job over her relationships. She hurt Emily by taking her trip to Paris. She neglected her boyfriend and friends. She was becoming selfish and mean. Andy decides to quit her job immediately. Andy gets out of the car in the middle of Paris. She throws her expensive phone into a fountain. The phone contains Miranda's contact information and represents her connection to the fashion world. Andy feels free for the first time in months. She decides to return to New York and fix her relationships. When Andy returns to New York, she tries to apologize to everyone she hurt. She goes to see her boyfriend Nate, but it is too late. Nate has decided to take a job in Boston. He cannot forgive Andy for choosing her career over their relationship. Andy is sad, but she understands that Nate is right to leave her. Andy also tries to apologize to Emily. Emily is still angry about missing the Paris trip. She worked so hard for that opportunity. Emily does not forgive Andy easily, but she eventually accepts Andy's apology. Emily understands that Andy was just doing what Miranda asked her to do. Andy looks for a new job as a writer. She goes to interviews at newspapers and magazines. Many employers have heard about her work at Runway. Some think she is impressive, but others think she is difficult to work with. Andy struggles to find a job because people associate her with Miranda's reputation. Finally, Andy gets an interview at a small newspaper. The editor is impressed by her resume, but he is worried about hiring someone who worked for Miranda Priestley. He has heard that Miranda is impossible to work with. He wonders if Andy is also difficult. The editor calls Miranda to ask about Andy. Andy is surprised when she learns that Miranda gave her a good recommendation. Miranda tells the editor that Andy is one of the smartest people she has ever worked with. She says that Andy has excellent judgment and works very hard. Miranda's recommendation helps Andy get the job. Andy starts working at the newspaper. She writes stories about important social issues. She investigates problems in the city and helps people who need help. Andy feels happy and fulfilled. She is using her writing skills to make a difference in the world. This is what she always wanted to do. Andy's new job pays much less money than her job at Runway. She cannot afford expensive clothes and restaurants anymore, but Andy is happier than she was when she worked in fashion. She has time for her friends and family. She can sleep at night without worrying about Miranda's demands. Andy learns important lessons from her experience at Runway. She learns that success is not worth sacrificing your relationships and values. She learns that some jobs can change who you are in bad ways. She learns that money and power do not bring happiness if you lose the people you love. Andy also learns that she is stronger than she thought. She survived working for one of the most difficult bosses in the world. She proved that she could succeed in a competitive environment. She learned skills that will help her in any job. Most importantly, she learned to stand up for herself and make difficult decisions. One day, Andy sees Miranda on the street in New York. Miranda is getting into her car after a meeting. Andy waves at her, but Miranda does not wave back. Miranda looks at Andy for a moment, and Andy thinks she sees a small smile on Miranda's face. Then Miranda gets into her car and drives away. Andy realizes that Miranda respects her decision to quit, even though Miranda would never admit it. Andy continues to work as a journalist. She writes stories that help people and make the world better. She makes new friends who share her values. She starts dating again, but she is careful to choose someone who supports her career and dreams. Andy has learned to balance her work and personal life. Andy sometimes thinks about her time at Runway. She does not regret the experience, even though it was difficult. Working for Miranda taught her about herself and what she values. She learned that she is capable of more than she thought. She also learned that some opportunities come with costs that are too high to pay. Andy keeps some of the beautiful clothes she got while working at Runway. When she wears them, she remembers the lessons she learned. She remembers that appearances can be deceiving. She remembers that power without kindness is dangerous. She remembers that true success means being true to yourself. The story of Andy Sachs shows us that we all face difficult choices in our careers and lives. Sometimes we must choose between success and our values. Sometimes we must decide what kind of person we want to be. Andy chose to be true to herself, even when it was difficult. She learned that real success comes from doing work that matters and maintaining relationships with people who love you. Andy's story also shows us that we can learn from difficult experiences. Even bad bosses and stressful jobs can teach us important lessons. We can become stronger and wiser from facing challenges. We can discover what we really want in life by experiencing what we do not want. In the end, Andy found her true calling as a journalist. She uses her writing to help others and make the world better. She has friends who care about her and a job that fulfills her. She learned that happiness comes from being true to yourself and helping others, not from money or power or fame. Years later, Andy becomes a successful journalist. She writes articles about important social issues that help change laws and policies. She investigates corruption in government and business. Her work wins awards and recognition from other journalists. But most importantly, her writing makes a real difference in people's lives. Andy often thinks about the skills she learned at Runway. Working for Miranda taught her how to work under pressure and solve problems quickly. She learned how to pay attention to small details and anticipate what people need. These skills help her become an excellent journalist. When Andy becomes a senior writer at her newspaper, she remembers Miranda's leadership style. She treats younger journalists with kindness and respect. She helps them learn and grow instead of criticizing them harshly. Andy learned that success should not come at the cost of treating people badly. Andy stays in touch with some people from Runway. She occasionally meets Nigel for coffee. Nigel eventually starts his own fashion company after leaving Runway. Andy and Emily also rebuild their friendship over time. Emily continues to work in fashion, but at a different magazine where she is known for being demanding but fair. Andy sometimes wonders what happened to Miranda after she left Runway. She reads fashion magazines and sees that Miranda is still the editor of Runway. Miranda continues to be powerful and influential in the fashion world. She still wears beautiful clothes and attends important events. But Andy wonders if Miranda is happy or if she is still lonely and afraid of losing her power. Andy learns that Miranda's personal life remains difficult. Her divorce was finalized, and she rarely sees her ex-husband. Her daughters are older now and have their own lives. They visit Miranda sometimes, but they are not very close to her. Miranda's focus on her career cost her the relationships that matter most. Andy feels sad for Miranda, but also grateful that she made a different choice. Andy's romantic life also improves over time. She meets David, a teacher who works at a public school. David is kind and supportive of Andy's career. He understands that journalism is important work that sometimes requires long hours. Unlike her previous boyfriend, Nate, David does not feel threatened by Andy's success. He encourages her to pursue her dreams and celebrates her achievements. Andy also repairs her relationships with her old friends. Her friend Lily gets help for her drinking problem and becomes sober. Andy supports Lily through this difficult process. They spend time together talking about books, art, and life. Andy learns that real friendship means being there for people during their hardest times, not just when it is convenient. Andy's parents are proud of her work as a journalist. They were worried about her when she worked at Runway because she seemed stressed and unhappy. They are relieved to see that she has found work that makes her feel fulfilled and allows her to help others. Andy's parents tell her that they would rather have a daughter who is happy and does meaningful work than a daughter who is wealthy but miserable. Andy sometimes gives talks at colleges about her experience in the fashion industry. She tells students about the importance of staying true to their values, even when they face pressure to compromise. She warns young people about jobs that seem glamorous but require them to sacrifice their integrity. She encourages them to look for mentors who treat people with respect. The lessons Andy learned at Runway continue to guide her throughout her career. She remembers that true power comes from helping others, not from controlling them. She knows that real success means being proud of your work and maintaining loving relationships with family and friends. She understands that money and fame are not worth sacrificing your integrity and happiness. Andy's journey from a naive college graduate to a successful journalist shows us that we can overcome difficult challenges and learn from our mistakes. Her story reminds us that we have the power to choose what kind of person we want to be, even when we face pressure to compromise our values. Most importantly, Andy's story teaches us that true happiness comes from being authentic to ourselves and using our talents to make the world a better place.